don't care. I don't get it no more.
Shalom, shalom. All right. Zahab, Spirit Wind Judah of the GMS Mississippi Camp, giving our honor and glory to the Heavenly Father, and Howard by Shimmy Hamashah, by Shema Kakadash. Also want to give double honor to our elder apostles and elder bishops, great millstone rule well. Peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. All right, today I want to go into a topic that was on my spirit. I've been meditating on it. It's called the traits of a serpent, man. And about to shop, you open up with Psalm 55:21.
This is the book of Psalm, chapter 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war is in his heart.
The words of his mouth are smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, man. So you have to understand the attributes of your enemy, man. All right? You have to understand the traits and the characteristics of your enemy. As it says in the book, The Art of War, know thy enemy, know thyself, and thou shalt fare never the worse. All right, know thy enemy. So you got to know the nature of your enemy. All right, and your enemy moves as a nation, all right, as a power structure, all right, so-called Edomite supremacy. So what's the nature of a serpent on a collective level as a power structure, as a kingdom, man? All right, so we understand the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. What are some examples of this serpent being smoother than butter? A point that you brought out before we started filming, going back to the garden. The game that the serpent, which was basically an Edomite with melanin at that time, all right, the game that the serpent ran on Eve was very subtle. All right, it was very enchanting. If you look at a snake in its physical attributes, it's enchanting. You have snakes with all type of diverse, exotic colors, and they're very smooth. So how is a man like a serpent? His words are smooth, and it's charming, it's enchanting, all right? Like a serpent, all right? So the philosophies that he ran up on Eve, because that's what he was running on her, was those philosophies that was contrary to the laws of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, all right? The philosophy that he was running on her was very charming. A snake is very charming. You have snakes that put their prey in a state of hypnosis before they attack you. Certain breeds of snakes, certain species of snakes, they'll enchant their prey and the prey just be still. And the snake will enchant their prey before it attacks. And that's what the serpent did with Eve. He enchanted Eve with a philosophy that was contrary to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. All right, so a snake doesn't move with aggression. It moves with subtlety. It moves in a sense that's very suave, all right? And like I said, very enchanting, because a hunter has to bait you. So all predators, all right? Yeah. All predators, all right? All predators have a lure. All predators have their lure. Their lure is their bait. So Esau's way of baiting you into his own will is through enchantments. So going back to the philosophies of the garden, all right? So the trait of a serpent, one of the traits of a serpent is that he has a promising philosophy. Going back to feminism. Feminism is a promising philosophy, all right? Now, going back to street culture, that was a promising philosophy. Christianity, that was an enchanting philosophy. Now, a poisonous snake has what? Venom. So, how did that become venom to our nation? All right, what does venom do? It'll slowly destroy you, it'll slowly kill you, right? So you'll get bit, he injects his venom, and then it decays your body, right? So, Christianity, feminism, street culture, American culture, look what it did to our people. It initially was very enchanting, just like the enchantments of a serpent, but after a while it's deleterious, meaning it slowly destroyed you over a period of time. All right? You got it, brother.
This is the book of Sirach 21 and 2. It said, flee from sin as from the face of a serpent.
Why does it say flee from sin as from the face of a serpent? Because sin is very enticing. That's the word. It's very enticing. Yeah, how about my shot, brother? You might well stay right here, bro. Sin is very enticing, bro. And what's the scripture you have, bro?
This is Sirach 21 and 2.
You can get this Sirach 21 and 2.
Yep.
All right. Flee from, and you was gonna say something on that, bro?
No, I'm just.
Hey, flee from sin as from the face of a serpent. So you have to understand the way of your enemy. Gad didn't understand the way of the enemy, because what I noticed about Israelites, We know how to read our people. You know a nigga in his tactics. You might know a woman, a so-called black woman, in her tactics. Because you feel your own tribe. You got to feel for your own nation.
Yep.
But it's hard to gauge another species of people. And in Genesis 25 and 23, it said two men. Oh, as a matter of fact, it's Genesis 25 and 23. It's hard to gauge another nation of people. That's how Esau got their leverage on us. Because he don't move how we move. Esau knows how to transform faces. He know how to be in a certain spirit for years. And you think, oh, he cool. The next thing you know, he'll flip on you. That's the nature of a fucking serpent, my nigga. Yeah. That's the nature of a serpent. They'll be cool for years. Take you out, you invite you over to dinner, then they'll flip on you. He might eat you. He might kill you and eat you, man.
It's just like when they show just like they show on the purge. They bring all these years. Then the siren go off. They let you know how you really feel.
Yeah. But you already, they already done mapped out. We gonna kill the nigga, or we gonna kill Eddie. When the purge take off, they already got it mapped out. In the time of destruction, in the time of Jacob's trouble, we gonna kill Eddie. We gonna kill Benner, Marcus. We gonna kill him and eat him. You're a part of the contingency plan. They got it mapped out. In the time of destruction, in the time of Jacob's trouble, we gonna kill Eddie. We gonna kill Benner, Marcus. We gonna kill him and eat him. You're a part of the contingency plan. All right.
This is Genesis chapter 25 and verse 23. And Yahweh said unto her, two nations are in thy womb.
Jacob and Esau, the so-called black, Hispanic, Native Americans, and the so-called white men. All right?
And two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
What does that mean, two manner of people? Two types of people, two behaviors. We are not all created equal. Every nation has their nature. Two natures of people. So what's the nature of the so-called white man ruling over you? It's the nature of a serpent. You might talk to somebody and they say, what's your spirit animal? Oh, my spirit animal is a turtle. My spirit animal is a bear. Well, nations have their spirit animal. You know what Jacob's spirit animal is? A lion. But I also believe it's a sheep. It's both. It's either or. But Esau, his spirit animal is a serpent. And I heard a story about a woman or a man who had a snake, right? And he would sleep with his snake. But he didn't understand why every night the snake would stretch itself right next to him. It would lay vertical right next to the owner, right? And then he went to like a breeder or whatever, like a specialist. What's that? He went to like a breeder or a specialist, I forget the story at this point. He asked them, why did his snake lay next to him every night vertical? And he told him that snake is sizing you up to wait till it's big enough to swallow you. The reason why that snake is laying next to you and laying vertically next to you, because it's gauging its size towards your size to determine when it's going to be big enough to digest you. All right? So the nature of a serpent is the patient. And they got plays and tactics to conquer you over a long period of time. That's the nature of a serpent. A serpent can hide in plain sight. That's why I said in 2 Thessalonians 2, until their wicked be revealed. Because if you ever lived in a country, my brother, you have a snake right there. We from Mississippi. Some of us got relatives in the country. You have a snake, like, damn, I ain't see that snake right there. But guess what? Esau in your face every day. He hates your ass. Oh, hey, DeMarcus. Hey, Jeffrey. We got a whole nation ruling over us that's planning to kill us. And you don't have no fear in your heart. He won't run past you. You don't have no aggression. Because as a snake, he knows how to hide in your plain sight. All right?
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
Did it not? Wait a minute. Did it not say Esau was a cunning hunter? What the fuck is a serpent? A cunning hunter. A serpent is a cunning hunter. One thing I learned about judging another nation, you have to get over yourself and stop gauging them off of how you would move. All because you want to do some shit like that. You wouldn't mass genocide 100 million people or 77 million people. You wouldn't drop bombs on 2 countries. All right? He will. You wouldn't eat somebody else. Jeffrey Dahmer will. You see, there's a nation that has a nature. And his nature is to be a deviant against the Most High. That's his nature. All right.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
And you get the nation that has a nature. And his nature is to be a deity of the Most High. That's his nature. All right.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
And you get what was that you were holding in Ecclesiastes?
21 and 2.
Oh, you go ahead with that again.
This is Sirach chapter 21 and verse 2. Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent. For if thou comest too near it, it will bite thee.
Esau knows that our kryptonite is what? Sin. But he enchants us with sin as though somebody would enchant you with the wine. But wine makes you weak in lack of judgment. Next thing you know, they overthrow you. What happened in the movie 12 Years a Slave? Solomon North, they gave him some type of liquor. He got drunk. Next thing you know, he got conquered. He in slavery. So they gave us wine called sin. A slave. Solomon North, they gave him some type of liquor. He got drunk. Next thing you know, he got conquered. He in slavery. So they gave us wine called sin, and next thing you know, he got us in captivity. He got us stayed in captivity. As long as we're under that wine of sin, we'll never be delivered by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. That's why he created sin culture. Feminism is sin culture. Street culture, sin culture. Westernization, do as thou wilt, sin culture. And as long as we're under the vibration of westernization, we're going to be under sin culture. All right? What's next? So, you can go to Sirach 12 and 10. I regret closing on this. That's the traits of a serpent, man. All right? He's a patient hunter. He's patiently waiting on an overthrow. And he can enchant you, man. And if you read certain books, all right, you learn the person who's not emotional, that's the fucking person that's in control. So if you were a deceitful person, if you were a person that's a con artist, the person that's not emotionally enchanted, that's the person that's running everything. But the person that's in love, or the person that's under your spell, or they're de-armed, they trust you, that's the prey. That's the prey. And Jake has fallen prey to Christianity. It de-armed them against the enemy. Jake is the fucking mark. You know, in street culture or a con artist culture, you have a mark that everybody's playing the game on and everybody's using to get the money off of, and you're the dummy that's in the blind spot. Well, Jake is the dummy that's in the blind spot. All right?
You got it, bro.
I just thought about when you say the street culture, like the person who pretty much control their emotions, they the ones that control.
Yeah.
It's like you got a lot of people killing 9 people on the street because they can't control their emotions.
Yep.
Nigga make you mad on the street, and you want to kill them.
You have
can't
no control
yourself.
And then men raise men. Yeah.
It's like you got a lot of people killing 9 people on the street because they can't control their emotions.
Yep.
Nigga make you mad on the street, and you want to kill them.
You have
can't
no
control
control.
yourself.
And then
Wants to control.
yeah.
It's like you got a lot of people killing 9 people on the street because they can't control their emotions.
Yep.
Nigga make you mad on the street, and you want to kill them.
You have
can't
no
control
control.
yourself.
And then men raise men to control their emotions. If you were never raised by your father, you may have never even been taught to control your emotions. So Esau got us round out like animals because we was never raised with discipline, man. But that serpent got in Eve's ear. You don't need no man. We'll put you in the whole party. And you can have all them little kids. And we'll take care of you financially. That's a serpent, man.
And like the serpent, when the serpent injects his venom, it goes into your veins. Like Esau done put these philosophies and the enchantments, that shit run deep in Jake. You know? And then what happened is that it spreads throughout the body. And Israel is likened to a body. You know? So this poison of the snake has infected majority of the body, 2/3 to be exact. That's why the scripture say he's gonna cut off a long disease. Like the Lord gonna cut off 2/3 to save the rest of the good part. You know what I mean?
Gangrene.
Yeah.
That's another lesson.
Cut off your fingers and cut off your arm and try to save the rest of it.
That's right. That's gonna be a big cutoff, man. But that's that gang green.
Yep.
Cause I can't. This part is dead.
Yep.
2/3 are through.
Yep.
That boy ain't gonna get rid of that bald head. That boy ain't gonna stop committing adultery. Old girl ain't gonna stop eating shrimp or being an adulteress, man. So 2/3 gotta go. All right, you got it.
This is Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10.
And another thing about your poison tastes good. You know, like how you try to get a Jake to eat healthier? Nah, that shit that's killing him tastes good. All right? So your poison that kills a nation, it tastes good to the flesh, man. Because what did it say in Genesis? It was pleasing to the eyes. Those philosophies, that forbidden fruit, man. It feels good to your spirit and your flesh, man. But it's decaying over time. Like I said, it corrodes your fucking nation. Are you guys?
They just don't give a damn because they know.
Yep.
This day and age, all the information out there, they know what's going to you.
That's right.
Like you say, just because it tastes good.
Yep.
Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
Yep. And what I've noticed about Esau, and what I know even with Israelites, that's very deceptive, very cunning. They never change. So it's not like, oh, he had a lapse in judgment or, you know, we fell out, but nah, that nigga like that. That girl, you can't like, why would she do that? Like, that's what she fucking does. So one thing I notice about people with a serpent spirit, that's you can't change them. 20 years, they still like that. And if somebody said this in a movie, when a dog lie, he gonna look you in the eye. If somebody is like a dog lie, they gonna have shame about him. But a snake will look you dead in the eye and lie. You know what I mean? Look you dead in the eye. That's a snake, man. All right? Go ahead.
Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass.
And that's what small hats do. They humble themselves and play victim. And as long as they
Small hats are Jewish.
play victim, that puts them in a position of
Be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass.
and that's what small hats do. They humble themselves and play victim.
And small hats are yarmulkes.
And as long as they play victim, that puts them in a position of making us look like the predator. All right? As long as they play victim, then everybody comes to their aid. Or they play victim, he hit me, now they can hit us back. So, but that was part of their tactic, man. But one thing about a serpent, man, they're very patient in their tactics. They got a strategy and they stick to it, man. They know how to stay in character. All right?
And thou shalt know that his rust had not been altogether wiped away.
That's his nature. You know?
Set him.
That's why I said in Revelation 20, that old serpent.
Old serpent.
Thousands of years later, it's still the same nature.
He an OG with it now.
He an OG with it, man.
Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place.
And they got a saying, keep your friends close, your enemies closer. That's bullshit. According to the scriptures, set him not by thee. Like, don't have him by you, man. All right? That's why I said, let not every man in your house. But what happened was, when you adopted the philosophies of another nation, you let another man in your house. You let him in your nation. Because Esau using Edomite women liberals as agents to overthrow our nation. We should have never allowed the philosophy in our nation. Gas should have never let that nigga over here. But that's part of prophecy. But you don't let that man push his like when he goes to those other nations and calls foreign policy, spread foreign policy, you let another man in your house, man. They're pushing him to accept LGBTQ. You let another man in your house. All right?
Because you look at
He goes to those other nations and calls foreign policy, spread foreign policy, you let another man in your house, man. They're pushing him to accept LGBTQ. You let another man in your house. All right?
Because you look at them two, because the fangs, that's where the poison come through, and you go back to them two ugly ass Edomite bitches, Gloria Steinem and Betty Friedman. They was on the front line of their feminists, you know, so they used them as fangs to inject that shit into Eve, to the women, you know, and poison just spread, man. Now you got, like in Jackson, Mississippi, okay, you got unsolved murders. Well, you can root that shit back to that poison of the serpent, you know?
That's not natural to have a whole so-called community full of single mothers.
Yep.
It's not natural. And that serpent transformed to a dragon. and what's about to happen. Because what's the nature of a serpent? A serpent could be around you for decades, then attack at the end.
Yep.
Now, you as a good person, you can't fathom how somebody do that. You see? But a gullible person. But a serpent can do that. So if you could hold get Revelations 12, I said the devil's gonna go out there to keep the commandments.
Oh yeah, 12, 17.
He been waiting patiently. That serpent morphed to a dragon, and now you about to see the elites in his military transform.
They finna breathe fire, goddamn.
Yeah. And they trust me. They look at the 12 tribes like animals, and they gonna hunt you like an animal. Watch that movie Elysium, and you'll know what I'm talking about. All right.
This is Revelations 12 and verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, have the testimony of Yahweh Shai Mashiach.
And went to make war with her seed. So the dragon was already here.
Mm-hmm.
It came back in the power during the Renaissance period.
And they go back to Genesis 3 and 14.
That old serpent.
Yeah, and then when he said, "I will put enmity between thy seed and his seed forever."
Yep.
This the final showdown, man.
Yep. That's right. All right. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. So what's the point that we're making, man? Know your enemy. And Jake's so fucking complacent out here that westernization is a poison and he doesn't even know. The reason why half of the topics in the so-called on YouTube when it comes to Israelite men and women is why we can't get along. Half of the topics is why we can't get along, but where did they root it back to? That fucking venom of westernization, specifically feminism. Half of the problems amongst our nation, amongst our people, is based on the philosophy that we adopted from our enemies, man. Dummies, man. But y'all had any closing points? Hey, well, thank you, brothers and sisters, for edifying. Once again, we want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushua by Hashem, Kakudash, the honors to our elder apostles, elder bishops, great millstone, well. Peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of everything elect. Abba Baal, Kum Yashala, Shalom.
Shalom.